Hello, fellow Americans and dedicated preppers. Today, we need to have a serious conversation. Right now, across our great nation, there's a storm gathering that demands our immediate focus and urgent action. Yes, you heard it right. In just 14 days, we're standing on the brink of unprecedented changes. Are you prepared to face the challenges that lie ahead? Because what's coming is more intense and more crucial than anything we've ever faced before. From unexpected hurdles to escalating situations, the landscape is shifting rapidly. This is a wake-up call for all of us to brace ourselves and make the necessary preparations. So buckle up as we dive deep into the unfolding events and explore what you need to know to stay ahead. Stay tuned, because the clock is ticking and time is running out. One, we pose a question that's more pressing than ever: who truly pulls the strings of power in the federal government? This is no longer a mere curiosity, but a fundamental issue that strikes at the heart of our democracy and demands our immediate attention. Recently, shadows have been cast over the executive branch, stirring doubts and concerns about President Joe Biden's engagement in key responsibilities and decisions. A series of unsettling events have brought this to light, most notably the repeated instances where Dr. Jill Biden has been seen guiding the president offstage during public appearances. This is not just an odd spectacle, it's indicative of a deeper, more troubling problem. Such occurrences suggest a deviation from expected presidential behavior and prompt us to question who truly holds the decision-making power in our government. Adding to this unfolding drama is the perplexing situation surrounding Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin. His sudden absence, shrouded in silence and unanswered questions, breaches standard protocol and raises alarms about the reliability of our national defense. The Pentagon, with an astronomical budget exceeding $800 billion, owes us transparency, yet it struggles to account for substantial sums of money. This lack of accountability is a red flag, prompting us to consider the possibility of hidden forces at play. The absence of Secretary Austin during vital military operations and the mystery surrounding who is authorizing these actions only deepens the intrigue. This isn't merely about individuals in powerful positions, it's about the potential existence of a systemic issue within the federal government. The disconcerting notion that the president might be more of a ceremonial figurehead, with real power wielded by unelected officials or an elusive deep state, is no longer confined to the realm of conspiracy theories. It's a credible concern that warrants our scrutiny and demands action. As concerned citizens, we must ask ourselves, are we witnessing a facade of leadership with covert forces steering the ship? The implications of such a scenario are profound, challenging the integrity of our democratic institutions and the foundational principles of accountability and transparency. If decisions are being made behind closed doors by those not elected by the people, it's imperative that we demand answers and insist on clarity. The American public deserves to know who is making decisions that affect the nation's future. Our democracy depends on transparency and the assurance that those we elect are genuinely the ones guiding our course. The stakes are high, and as the clock ticks down to the pivotal changes anticipated in the coming weeks, we must remain vigilant and proactive in seeking the truth. 2. When the Epstein client list, a document cloaked in obscurity and controversy, is rumored to be revealed. The implications of this list are monumental, potentially dragging the most influential figures into the harsh spotlight of public scrutiny. Now, ponder what these shadowy elites might do to shift the narrative away from this explosive disclosure. The concept of orchestrating large-scale diversions, such as a war, suddenly becomes chillingly plausible. History teaches us that crises have often served as strategic distractions, crafted to obscure darker agendas. The stakes are sky-high, as the exposure of powerful individuals could lead to significant consequences. These are people who, when threatened, might resort to extreme measures, wielding their influence to spark global conflicts, sacrificing countless lives to shield their own interests. Current global tensions add layers to this potential cover-up. Consider the recent evacuation of German citizens from Lebanon, the devastating terrorist attack in Iran, and the looming threats toward America. These events, far from being isolated incidents, could well be part of a grander, more sinister design. From the Iranian perspective, the notion that ISIS is a Western creation injects additional complexity, while recent assassinations in Lebanon targeting Hezbollah figures further stoke these fires. We're witnessing a critical juncture in history. The actions of these powerful elites, possibly on the verge of exposure, could reverberate across the globe. The potential misuse of nuclear power plants as a pretext for conflict, coupled with orchestrated cyber attacks and other false flag operations, are scenarios we cannot afford to dismiss. The involvement of billionaires, neocons, and other influential groups in these machinations presents a disturbing narrative. As engaged citizens, we must remain vigilant, questioning the stories being spun and contemplating the broader implications of these unfolding events. This isn't just political intrigue, it's a narrative with the potential to reshape the world as we know it. The need for accountability, transparency, and justice has never been more critical. This isn't about feeding conspiracy theories, it's about confronting a possible reality with courage and clarity. The stakes are immense, and as the clock ticks down, we must stay alert and informed. This year stands as a pivotal crossroads, where the decisions we make could significantly alter our futures. The sense of urgency is palpable, urging us to gear up, ensuring that our resources and essential equipment are ready for the challenges ahead. We are witnessing a growing divide between the analog and digital realms, forcing us to decide what kind of life we truly want to lead. Many of us feel the pull to resist being funneled into a completely virtual existence, especially as the elite prepare for looming crises with what seems like insider knowledge. This disparity raises critical questions: when will the general public awaken to the necessity of preparing in a similar fashion? Enter Shawn James, an off-grid YouTube personality whose journey offers a beacon of hope and guidance. Formerly a commercial roofing business owner, Shawn pivoted to an off-grid lifestyle following the 2008 crisis, showcasing the resilience and adaptability necessary in these uncertain times. His transition to a self-reliant life, eschewing government dependency and high-paying jobs, serves as a compelling model for those seeking autonomy and security. James' commitment to building a sustainable homestead, complete with food cultivation and wildlife management, underscores the essential nature of self-sufficiency. His insights on selecting land, maintaining neighborly relations, and managing resources are invaluable lessons for anyone considering a similar path. His philosophy is clear: it's about finding harmony with nature, not attempting to conquer it, a mindset crucial for navigating the approaching challenges. As 2024 looms closer, the call to action is clear: prepare, be self-reliant, and reconnect with the natural world. The decisions we make today will echo through time, making it crucial to stay informed, prepared, and adaptable in the face of the converging crises of this critical year. The narrative ahead asks us a pivotal question: are we ready to choose a path that prioritizes sustainability and independence? The urgency of this moment cannot be overstated. We must consider the benefits of stepping away from reliance on external systems, focusing instead on cultivating our own resources and capabilities. While the allure of technology and digital conveniences is undeniable, the lessons from those who have successfully transitioned to off-grid living offer a roadmap to resilience. By taking proactive steps towards self-sufficiency, we can lessen the impact of potential disruptions and thrive amidst uncertainty. As we edge closer to this crucial juncture, let's draw inspiration from pioneers of self-reliance and embrace the power of preparation. The time to act is now, and the choices we make today will reverberate through the years to come. Stay with us as we delve deeper into these vital themes and provide the insights you need to navigate the challenges of the future with confidence and clarity. The reality of inflation and its impact on small businesses is a wake-up call we cannot ignore. Inflation is not just an economic term, it's a force that's reshaping the landscape of our everyday lives. Imagine walking into your favorite local eatery and seeing a simple sandwich priced at $1.16. This isn't just any random increase, it's a glaring reflection of the soaring costs, impacting everything from ingredients to operational expenses. When was the last time you thought twice about the cost of a sandwich? Yet here we are, witnessing a shift that signals profound changes in our economic environment. Behind the scenes, small business owners are grappling with the harsh reality of inflation. It's not just about price your bread and meat, it's about the entire ecosystem of running a business. From employee wages to rent, utilities, and loan repayments, the costs are spiraling. This scenario isn't unique to one sector or location, it's a widespread issue affecting businesses nationwide. Take, for instance, the infamous $20 Big Mac. It's not just a jaw-dropping price tag, it's a symbol of how inflation is distorting our everyday experiences. Businesses are caught in a bind, forced to make tough choices. Price hikes aren't about profiteering, they're about survival. Owners are reluctantly passing costs on to consumers because there's simply no alternative if they want to keep their doors open. But this isn't just a business problem, it's a personal one. How does inflation impact your daily life? Your budget? Your choices at the grocery store or your local diner? When a BLT sandwich, once a budget-friendly staple, becomes a luxury, it's a clear indication that we're heading down a precarious path. The real question is, where does this end? How will small businesses, the backbone of our economy, continue to adapt to these relentless challenges? And more importantly, how will these changes ripple out to affect you, your family, and your community in the long run? As consumers, we're facing a new reality where once affordable items are becoming out of reach. This shift forces us to rethink our spending habits and priorities. It's a call to action for both businesses and consumers to find creative solutions and forge new paths in this evolving economic landscape. The coming weeks are crucial. We're not just talking about price tags, we're discussing the future of small businesses and the ripple effects on local economies. These businesses are more than just service providers, they're community pillars that contribute to the local culture and economy. So, as we approach this turning point, let's stay informed and proactive. Let's support local businesses in innovative ways and advocate for solutions that address these economic pressures. Together, we can navigate this challenging period, ensuring that our communities remain vibrant and resilient in the face of adversity. 5. Let's dive into the unfolding challenges with the stock market and the US dollar, and why these shifts could drastically reshape your financial reality. First, let's discuss the stock market. JP Morgan strategists are sounding alarms, predicting a 10% drop in stock values. But here's the real bombshell: some experts suggest this forecast might be overly optimistic. Speculations are circulating about a potential crash as severe as 80%. Imagine the ripple effects of such a downturn. What could this mean for your investments, your retirement funds, or even your daily financial stability? Now, let's shift our focus to the Federal Reserve, which is maintaining high interest rates as a strategy to combat inflation. This approach, however, is a double-edged sword. While it battles inflation, it simultaneously dampens economic activity. How long can this precarious balancing act continue before something finally tips over? Then there's the US. Dollar, once the undisputed monarch of global currencies, now facing unprecedented challenges. Morgan Stanley has downgraded its outlook on the dollar. Why? Because global dynamics are shifting. Eastern nations are gradually turning away from the dollar, exploring alternatives like the Chinese yuan. What happens when the dollar loses its crown as the world's dominant currency? The implications for international trade and your personal finances could be profound. But these aren't just concerns from distant lands, they hit close to home with our national debt, which has ballooned to an eye-watering $34 trillion. For some context, it took the US over 2 centuries to accumulate $6 trillion in debt, and now we've added the same amount in just 3 years. How sustainable is this trajectory? What happens when the debt collectors come knocking? Moreover, these economic shifts are already impacting daily life in unexpected ways. Take, for instance, the surge in van life. This isn't merely a fad for adventure seekers, it's a necessity born out of economic necessity. Increasingly, Americans are trading traditional homes for vans and RVs because the cost of living, whether renting or owning a home, is spiraling beyond reach for many. As we approach this critical juncture, it's essential to ask, how will these financial trends reshape your life? How prepared are you to navigate a possible economic upheaval? The choices we make today will resonate far into the future, affecting everything from our personal budgets to the broader economic landscape. In the face of these challenges, awareness and preparedness are more crucial than ever. As consumers and investors, staying informed is our strongest tool. We must anticipate and adapt to these financial tremors if we're to safeguard our future. 6 mainstream media giants like the New York Times, The Atlantic, and the Washington Post are facing a crisis of relevance, a story that deserves our immediate attention. Imagine this: viewership for these once dominant news sources is plummeting. The New York Times has seen a staggering 38% decline, The Atlantic is down by 8%, and the Washington Post is struggling with a 10 to 15% drop. What's driving this monumental change? Could it be that the public is increasingly skeptical of the narratives these outlets are pushing? Or perhaps the shift towards subscription-based models is alienating their audience? This isn't just a blip, it's a critical juncture for media, with massive implications for how we consume news. Trust in these traditional outlets is at an all-time low. Let's ask ourselves why. Could it be due to the handling of high-profile stories like the Hunter Biden laptop controversy, the war in Ukraine, or the COVID-19 pandemic? There's a growing perception that mainstream media isn't providing the full story or worse, manipulating narratives to fit specific agendas. As viewership numbers dwindle, instead of introspection, many of these media houses seem to be in denial. They're often the last to acknowledge that their influence is diminishing. Isn't it alarming how disconnected these outlets have become from their audience? But there's a silver lining here: the rise of alternative media. As these traditional giants falter, independent outlets are gaining momentum. Have you noticed this shift? More people are turning to alternative sources for news, seeking platforms that offer diverse perspectives and deeper analysis. This isn't just a trend, it's a significant movement reflecting a desire for varied viewpoints and a rejection of the status quo in news delivery. This shift in media consumption is a powerful statement about what audiences value in their news sources. Let's talk about credibility, or the glaring lack thereof, in mainstream media. Journalist Michael Schellenberger highlights several disinformation campaigns that have eroded public trust. Remember how the media covered Trump's alleged ties to Russia, the COVID-19 lab leak theory, and the Hunter Biden laptop saga? These narratives were often presented without sufficient scrutiny. When the truth emerged, many felt deceived. It's not just about which stories are told, but how they're told. The condescending tone used towards certain groups, particularly around the COVID-19 vaccine debate, has only deepened the trust chasm. How can media regain trust when such obvious missteps aren't openly admitted and corrected? Let's consider how mainstream media is trying to retain its audience. Have you ever watched a YouTube video on a particular topic, only to have the platform suggest a mainstream media channel like CNN or MSNBC next? Despite your preference for alternative sources, these major networks keep appearing. It's almost as if there's a deliberate push to keep these channels in the spotlight, regardless of viewer interest. This raises important questions about media bias and the role of algorithms in shaping our news consumption. It's a reminder that we need to be vigilant and proactive in finding the news that matters to us without being swayed by these imposed preferences. As we navigate this rapidly changing media landscape, it's crucial to recognize the power and potential of alternative media. These platforms are rising to fill the void left by traditional outlets, offering nuanced and varied perspectives that resonate with audiences seeking authenticity and transparency. 7. We're talking about a major decision by retail giant Walmart to halt a huge project in Canada, a move that's making waves across the business landscape. Cast your mind back to last year, when excitement was buzzing around Walmart's ambitious plan to establish a $100 million distribution center in Quebec, Canada. This wasn't just another warehouse, it was a colossal 57,000 square foot facility set to revolutionize online order delivery across Quebec and Atlantic Canada. But now, Walmart has unexpectedly hit the pause button on this massive investment. What could possibly drive a retail titan like Walmart to backtrack on such a significant initiative? This isn't a decision made on a whim. When a corporation of Walmart's size decides to pull out of a project this substantial, it's a signal that something bigger is at play. Could it be that the economic landscape is flashing warning signs? Or maybe consumer spending habits are shifting in unforeseen ways? One word that keeps coming up in these discussions is inflation, a force that's been impacting wallets everywhere. With inflation rising steeply, consumers are becoming more cautious about their spending. They're thinking twice before indulging in online shopping sprees. If Walmart senses that their profits may not justify such a hefty investment, what does this say about the overall health of the economy? Are we, as consumers, feeling the financial squeeze more than we care to admit? Consider the timing. Walmart announced this grand plan back in 2022, so what has shifted so drastically in just a year? It's like trying to piece together a puzzle where nothing seems to fit. Are we witnessing an economic shift that even colossal entities like Walmart must navigate cautiously? This decision by Walmart isn't just a strategic pivot, it's a signpost indicating broader changes in the economy, consumer behavior, and potentially the viability of certain markets. As we journey through 2024, it's imperative to remain vigilant. What other corporate surprises might lie ahead? How will other major companies respond to these economic conditions? And most importantly, how will these shifts impact us, the everyday consumers? Walmart's saga is likely just the tip of the iceberg, a precursor to more significant shifts. It's crucial we stay observant, ready to adapt to what comes next. Remember, the world of business and economy is interconnected, and a ripple in one area can lead to waves in another. The next 2 weeks could bring more insights into this evolving story, and the time to prepare and stay informed is now. We confront a looming issue that affects every American: the national debt. It's not just a staggering figure, it's a shadow hanging over our future. Imagine this: the U.S. national debt has ballooned to an unimaginable $34 trillion. To put it in perspective, it's akin to every household in the nation owing approximately $259,000. Pause and consider the weight of that. It's not just a distant, abstract number, it's a financial burden that could reshape our daily lives, our children's futures, and the very fabric of our economy. This debt crisis has escalated at an alarming pace. It took over 2 centuries for America to accumulate $6 trillion in debt. Now, we've added another $6 trillion in less than 3 years. What changed so dramatically to accelerate us down this perilous path? The answers are crucial to understanding the trajectory of our nation's future. Simultaneously, as we navigate these economic hurdles, a notable shift is occurring in how Americans are choosing, or perhaps being forced to live. More than 14 million people have embraced what is known as van life. Yes, living in vans, buses, or even cars. But is this really a voluntary lifestyle change, or is it a response to the skyrocketing costs of housing? For many, this isn't just about seeking freedom and adventure, it's about finding a practical and affordable way to live. Can you imagine a scenario where living in a vehicle becomes your most viable housing option? This trend isn't just about economics, it's about survival. In 2022 alone, the U.S. Census Bureau reported that 3.3 million Americans were displaced by natural disasters. Many have turned to their vehicles as a refuge, a home on wheels. This movement isn't driven by desire but by necessity, prompting a critical reflection on the state of our nation when millions find vehicular living more feasible than traditional housing. Yet, there's often a romanticized spin on this lifestyle. It's portrayed as a commitment to fighting climate change, embracing minimalism, and reducing energy consumption. However, for many, it's less about idealism and more about coping with an economic system that's increasingly leaving people behind. As we face this stark reality, it's crucial to ask, what does this say about our society? How did we reach a point where living in a van becomes the most practical option for so many? These questions demand our urgent attention because they highlight deeper systemic issues that need addressing. We need to discuss some unsettling trends unfolding in the U.S. job market. This isn't just about numbers, it's about the fabric of our economy and the lives of millions of Americans. Did you realize that since last June, the U.S. economy has shed a staggering 1.5 million full-time jobs? That's nearly 1% of our workforce gone. While headlines might shout about job growth, a deeper examination reveals that most of these jobs are part-time. This paints a far less optimistic picture than we're often led to believe. Let's break it down further. While part-time employment has risen by 216,000, full-time positions have diminished by 183,000. This net loss is concerning, yet there's a persistent narrative suggesting we have a robust job market. But how do these pieces fit together? It's like a puzzle with missing parts, and when you look close, the picture isn't what it seems. Then there's Jim Cramer and other pundits who proclaim the economy is thriving. But are they really looking at the full picture? Beneath the surface, we've lost those 1.5 million crucial full-time jobs. With a net negative of 687,000 jobs, can we honestly call this a strong job market? This issue transcends mere statistics. It impacts real lives and families across the nation. Think about the impact of losing a full-time job. It's about more than just losing a paycheck, it's the stability that comes with benefits and the ability to plan and save for the future. When full-time roles are supplanted by part-time ones, what does that mean for the average American household? Can families still manage to make ends meet? Now, let's connect the dots to the stock market. You might be wondering, why does the job market matter to stocks? It matters a lot. The stock market is a reflection of economic health. If the job market falters, it affects company earnings, consumer spending, and ultimately stock prices. So, when experts predict a downturn in the stock market this year, it's not just idle talk, it's grounded in real economic indicators like the troubling job market trends we're witnessing. Another dimension to consider is the M2 money supply, which measures the total money in circulation. The last time we saw a contraction in the M2 was back in 1933 during the Great Depression. History has shown us that when the M2 contracts, it often signals economic distress. This historical precedent raises a critical question for today. Are we on the brink of a similar economic downturn? 10. We must confront the grave realities facing our world in 2024. The global landscape is fraught with peril, teetering on the brink of profound crises that could reshape our future. Today, we're diving deep into these unfolding global tensions and risks. First, let's address the alarming prospects of war. The world seems closer than ever to widespread conflict, with instability peaking across 27 hotspots worldwide. Particularly in the Middle East, tensions are red hot, with Iran and Israel on a potential collision course and a looming threat of a US-led coalition war against Yemen. The unrest in Gaza, West Bank, Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq adds to the chaos, with assassinations and asymmetrical warfare becoming disturbingly common. All signs point to a significant conflict possibly erupting in 2024. Turning to Eastern Europe, the Russia-Ukraine crisis is intensifying. Ukraine's assertive actions, like threats to the Crimean Bridge and increased military offensives, are met with Russia's harshest counterattacks yet. With NATO stepping up its mobilization, we are witnessing unprecedented tensions. Meanwhile, North Korea has abandoned its reconciliatory stance, openly threatening nuclear strikes against South Korea. The risk of catastrophic conflict in this region feels more immediate than ever. In the Asia-Pacific, the China-Taiwan situation is equally precarious. With Taiwan's leadership aligning more with Western interests and China's unwavering pursuit of reunification, the region is a powder keg waiting to explode. Chinese naval maneuvers and airspace violations are raising the stakes, heightening the risk of confrontation. The prospect of nuclear war is another chilling reality, sitting at a worrying 7 out of 10 on the risk scale. Major powers are increasingly cornered, and with conventional weapons stockpiles dwindling, the temptation to turn to nuclear arsenals is growing. The suspension of nuclear treaties and potential resumption of tests by China, Russia, and the US further exacerbate this threat. Cybersecurity is another looming concern, with the risk of cyber attacks surging to 8 out of 10. As cybercrime costs potentially soar to $9.5 trillion in 2024, critical infrastructures worldwide are vulnerable. Our interconnected digital world, driven by the Internet of Things, amplifies these risks, and AI's role in potential cyber warfare could be devastating. Financial instability is casting a shadow over the global economy, with a staggering risk level of 9 out of 10. Record high bank lending rates, significant bank failures, and national debts like the US's over $34 trillion signal a looming financial crisis. The stock market is overvalued, recession risks are real, and oil price volatility due to Middle East conflicts could spark inflation spikes. The Fed might be forced to raise interest rates, threatening a banking collapse. Global trade routes are under threat, too, as geopolitical tensions jeopardize key shipping lanes. In the United States, civil unrest is a burgeoning threat. The nation stands divided, with the upcoming election poised to be one of the most contentious in history, potentially sparking widespread dissatisfaction and unrest. Terrorist threats remain high, with a resurgence of activities in the Middle East potentially leading to increased attacks. Finally, the climate crisis is an undeniable 10 out of 10. We're experiencing record temperatures, dwindling snowfall, rising sea levels, and severe droughts. These changes threaten to impact 75% of the global population by 2025, putting immense pressure on food production and driving up staple grain prices.